Hello everyone. In this session, we will learn various storage and relationship structures present in Oracle database used to store and relate data. After that, auditing of Oracle database in which database is monitored and user actions are recorded. Objectives. Let's have a look on objectives of this session. In storage and relationship, we will learn segment type, extents, database blocks, storage parameters, and space management. In auditing, we will see what is auditing, various auditing categories, how to enable and monitor auditing, and the various options we can use in auditing. The Oracle server enables fine-grained control of disk space used through table space and logical storage structures, including segment, extent, and data blocks. The Oracle database architecture includes logical and physical structures that make up the database. The physical structure includes control files, on and redo log files, and data files that make up the database. The logical structure includes table space, segments, extents, and data blocks. Data blocks. The Oracle server manages the storage space in the data files in units called Oracle blocks or data blocks. At the finest level of granularity, the data in an Oracle database is stored in data blocks. The Oracle data blocks are the smallest unit of storage that the Oracle server can allocate, read or write. One data block corresponds to one or more operating system blocks allocated from an existing data file. The standard data block size for an Oracle database is specified by the db_block_size initialization parameter when the database is created. The data block size should be a multiple of the operating system block size to avoid unnecessary input-output. The maximum data block size is dependent on the operating system. Extent. Space is allocated to a segment by extents. One or more extents make up a segment. When a segment is created, it consists of at least one extent. As the segment grows, extents get added to the segment. The DBA can manually add extents to a segment. An extent is a set of contiguous Oracle blocks. An extent cannot span a data file but must exist in one data file. Next is segment. Segment is the space allocated for a specific logical storage structure within a table space. For example, all of the storage allocated to a table is a segment. A table space may consist of one or more segments. A segment cannot span table spaces. However, a segment can span multiple data files that belong to the same table space. Each segment is made up of one or more extents. Segments are space-occupying objects in database. They use space in the data files of a database. A single data segment in an Oracle holds all of the data for one of the following: a table that is not partitioned or clustered, a partition of a partitioned table, a cluster of tables. Oracle creates this data segment when we create the table or cluster with the create statement. A table is the most common means of storing data within a database. A table segment stores the data for a table that is neither clustered nor partitioned. Data within a table segment is stored in no particular order, and the database administrator has a very little control over the location of rows within the blocks in a table. Scalability and availability are major concerns when there is a table in a database with high concurrent usage. In such cases, data within a table may be stored in several partitions, each of which resides in different table space. The Oracle server currently supports partitioning by a range of key values or by a hashing algorithm. If a table is partitioned, each partition is a segment, and storage parameters can be specified to control them independently. A cluster, like a table, is a type of data segment. Rows in a cluster are stored based on key column values. A cluster may contain one or more tables. Tables in a cluster belong to the same segment and share the same storage characteristics. The rows in a cluster table can be accessed with an index or hashing algorithm. Every non-partitioned index in an Oracle database has a single index segment to hold all of its data. For a partitioned index, every partition has a single index segment to hold its data. Oracle creates the index segment for an index or an index partition when we issue the create index statement. In this statement, we can specify storage parameters for the extents of the index segment and a table space in which to create the index segment. All the entries for a particular index are stored within one index segment. If table has 3 indexes, 3 index segments are used. The purpose of this segment is to look up the location of the rows in a table based on a specified key. An index can be partitioned and spread across several table spaces. In this case, each partition in the index corresponds to the segment and cannot spawn multiple table spaces. The primary use of a partitioned index is to minimize contention by spreading the index input-output. Now, when processing queries, Oracle often requires temporary workspace for intermediate stages of SQL statement parsing and execution. Oracle automatically allocates this disk space called a temporary segment. Typically, Oracle requires a temporary segment as a work area for sorting. Oracle does not create a segment if the sorting operation can be done in memory or if Oracle finds some other way to perform the operation using indexes. The following statements sometimes require the use of temporary segments: create index, select order by, select distinct, select group by, select intersect, select minus, etc. Now, undo segment. An undo segment is used by a transaction that is making changes to the database. Before changing the data or index blocks, the old value is stored in the undo segment. This allows the user to undo changes made. An extent is a logical unit of database storage space allocation made up of number of contiguous data blocks. One or more extents in turn make up a segment. When the existing space in a segment is completely used, Oracle allocates a new extent for the segment. When we create a table, Oracle allocates to the table's data segment an initial extent of a specified number of data blocks. Although no rows have been inserted yet, the Oracle data blocks that correspond to the initial extent are reserved for that table's row. If the data blocks of a segment's initial extent become full and more space is required to hold new data, Oracle automatically allocates an incremental extent for that segment. An incremental extent is a subsequent extent of the same or greater size than the previously allocated extent in that segment. Oracle uses different algorithms to allocate extents, depending on whether they are locally managed or dictionary managed. With locally managed table space, Oracle looks for free space to allocate a new extent by first determining a candidate data file in the table space, then searching the data file's bitmap for the required number of adjacent free blocks. If that data file does not have enough adjacent free space, then Oracle looks in another data file. Extents are allocated whenever segments are created, extended, or altered. In general, the extents of a segment do not return to the table space until we drop the schema object whose data is stored in the segment. When extents are freed, Oracle modifies the bitmap in the data file or updates the data dictionary to reflect the regained extent as available space. Any data in the blocks of freed extents become inaccessible. So extents are deallocated when segments are dropped, altered, or truncated. Oracle manages the storage space in the data files of a database in units called data blocks. A data block is the smallest unit of data used by a database. In contrast, at the physical operating system level, all data is stored in bytes. Each operating system has a block size. Oracle requests data in multiples of Oracle data blocks, not operating system blocks. The standard block size is specified by the initialization parameter db_block_size. In addition, we can specify up to 5 non-standard block sizes. The data block sizes should be multiple of the operating system block size within the maximum limit to avoid unnecessary input-output. Oracle data blocks are the smallest units of storage that Oracle can use or allocate. Header. The header contains general block information, such as block address and the type of segment. Row data. This portion of the data block contains table or index data. Rows can span blocks. Free space. Free space is allocated for insertion of new rows and for updates to rows that requires additional space. We can have table spaces with different block sizes. This allows large tables and indexes to have a larger block size than smaller objects. This is especially useful in hybrid databases where DSS transactions benefit from large block sizes while OLTP operations are best suited to smaller block sizes. It also means that table space can be transported between the database with different block sizes. The database is created with a standard block size and up to 5 non-standard block sizes. DB block size is used to specify the standard block size which is used for the system and temporary table spaces. All subsequent table spaces will also be assigned this block size unless specified otherwise. Advantage of multiple block sizes. Consider an OLTP database that randomly reads single customer rows. Larger block means reading unwanted rows and hence a waste of data buffer resources. If we migrate this customer table into a 2K block size, we now only need to read in 2K to get the row data. This results in several times more available space for random block fetches. Moving Oracle indexes into a fully cached 32K buffers will ensure that Oracle favors index access, reducing unnecessary full table scans and greatly reducing logical input-output, because adjacent index nodes will reside within the larger 32K block. For OLTP transactions with heavy DML activities, small block size tables are beneficial in cleaning out direct blocks that result from truncate operation and high activity DML. Tables with heavy write activities will benefit from smaller block sizes. Smaller block size can reduce conflict for data block resources where large number of users are updating the same table simultaneously. For tables with lobes stored outside the table segment, each large object row take one block. If the average size of the large object is around 2K, then the lobe segment should store in 2K table space. Creating non-standard block size is quite easy. First we have to configure db underscore nk underscore cache underscore size parameter in parameter or SP file. Then while creating table space we have to give clause block size and then our required size, so that table space will be created with non-standard block size mentioned by us. A number of rules apply to the use of variable block sizes. All partition of a partitioned object must reside in the table space with the same block size. All temporary table spaces must be of the standard block size. Index organized table overflow and out-of-line lobe segments can be stored in a table space with a different block size that of a base table. Block space utilization parameters can be used to control the use of space in data and index segments. Parameters controlling concurrencies. inittrans and maxtrans specify the initial and the maximum number of transaction slots that are created in an index or a data block. The transaction slots are used to store information about transactions that are making changes to the data block at a point in time. A transaction uses only one transaction slot, even if it is changing more than one row or index entry. inittrans, which defaults to 1 for a data segment and 2 for an index segment, guarantees a minimum level of concurrency. For example, if sec2 3, inittrans ensures that at least 3 transactions can concurrently make changes to the data block. If necessary, additional transaction slots can be allocated from the free space in the block to permit more concurrent transactions to modify rows in the block. Maxtrans, which has default value of 255, sets the limit for the number of concurrent transactions that can make changes to a data or an index block. When set, this value restricts use of space for transaction slots and therefore guarantees that there is sufficient space in the block for use by rows or index data. Now parameters controlling the use of data space. PCT free for a data segment specifies the percentage of space in each data block reserved for growth resulting from updates to rows in the block. The default for PCT free is 10%. PCT used for a data segment represents the minimum percentage of used space that the Oracle server tries to maintain for each data block of the table. A block is put back on the free list when its use space falls below PCT used. The free list of a segment is a list of blocks that are candidate for accommodating future inserts. A segment by default is created with one free list. Segments can be created with a higher number of free lists by setting the free list parameter of the storage class. The default for PCT use is 40%. Both PCT free and PCT used are calculated as percentages of available data space, that is the block space that remains after deducting the header space from the total block size. Automatic Space Management ASSM or bitmap free list is a simpler and more efficient way of managing space within a segment. It completely eliminates any need to specify and tune the PCT used, free list and free list group storage parameters for schema objects created in the table space. If any of these attributes are specified, they are ignored. Using automatic space management moves the free list from one-way linked list to bitmap within the table space segment management blocks, allowing for higher concurrency. It removes the need for managing free list and free list group by using bitmaps to describe the space usage for each block within a segment. The bitmap is stored in separate blocks known as bitmapped blocks. This relieves the contention on the segment header that occurs with the free list. Whenever there is need to insert a new row, server searches the bitmap for a block that has sufficient space. For automatic free space management to occur, object must be placed in the table space created with the segment space management auto clause. Any object within this table will take advantage of this feature. To upgrade an existing object to use automatic free space management, simply create a new table space and use the alter move syntax to place the object within the new table space.
With manual database block management, we can configure how block space is used and when a block is available. Parameters such as PCT free, PCT use, and free list are used in manual management. Previously, this was the only method available for managing data block. The following explains how space within a block is managed for a data segment with PCT free is equal to 20 and PCT use is equal to 40. First, rows are inserted into the block until the free space in the block is equal to or less than 20%. The block is no longer available for inserts when rows occupy 80% or more of the available data space in the block. The remaining 20% can be used when the size of row increases. For example, a column that was originally null is updated to be assigned a value. Thus, block utilization may be in excess of 80% as a result of updates. Third, if rows are deleted in the block or if rows decrease in size as a result of updates, block utilization may fall below 80%. However, a block is not used for inserts until the utilization falls below PCT used. When the utilization falls below PCT used, the block is available for inserts. As rows are inserted into the block, the utilization of the block increases and the cycle repeats starting with step 1. Automatic space management. High watermark HWM. It indicates the point above which no blocks have been formatted. Internally, the HWM is required to ensure that Oracle direct load operations can access contiguous unformatted blocks. In this example, a table segment is containing data. After some delete operation, data is fragmented, and now to defragment it and have contiguous free block, we have to enable the row movement. By enabling row movement, Oracle Server can move data from one block to another in a segment defragmenting space and make free continuous blocks. This can be done by command alter table, then table name, enable row movement. After enabling row movement, to defragment the segment issue, a command alter table, table name, shrink space compact. This command will defragment blocks, but it will not reset high water mark. High water mark remains on its initial position. There is another command alter table, table name, shrink space. It will also do the same work, but it also reset the high water mark. Now by resetting high water mark, continuous free blocks are available to database for new insertion. If we also want to compact indexes along with the table on which indexes are placed, then we have to append cascade in command alter table shrink space. If our high water mark is set low or we have many free unused blocks, then we can free them by issuing the command alter table deallocate unused. All the blocks above high water mark will be deallocated. We can issue this command on table, indexes and clusters. How to see which are the segments having fragmentation and are the potential candidates for shrinking? We can know this thing by using a package named dbms_space. When we use this package on some table or index, it returns a boolean value. If it's 1, then table can be shrink, otherwise table is okay. Here we are calculating used and allocated space for an object. By looking at these stats, we come to know about space requirement of an object. The relationship between table spaces, data files, segments, and free and used extents can be viewed by querying the data dictionary. These are the various views with the help of which we can see the information about table spaces, data files, their locations, how segments are allocated, how extents are allocated, etc. When a table space with one or more file is created, a row is added to dba_tablespace. For each file in the database, a row is added to db_data files. At this stage, the space in each data file, excluding the file header, shows up as one free extent in dba_free space. When a segment is created, a row is visible in db_segments. Next topic is auditing. Auditing is always about accountability and is frequently done to protect and preserve privacy for the information stored in the database. Auditing is the monitoring and recording of selected user database actions. Auditing is normally used to investigate suspicious activity. For example, if an unauthorized user is deleting data from tables, the security administrator might decide to audit all connections to the database and all successful and unsuccessful deletion of rows from all tables in the database. It is done to monitor and gather data about specific database activities. For example, the DBA can gather statistics about which tables are being updated, how many logical input-outputs are performed, or how many concurrent users connect at a peak times. Oracle allows audit option to be focused or broad. We can audit successful statement executions, unsuccessful statement executions, or both. Statement executions once in each user session or once every time the statement is executed. Activities of all users or a specific user. Although auditing is relatively inexpensive, limit the number of audited events as far as possible. Doing so minimizes the performance impact on the execution of audited statement. So making it easier to analyze and understand. Use the following general guidelines when devising an auditing strategy. Evaluate the purpose for auditing. After we have clear understanding of the reasons for auditing, we can devise an appropriate auditing strategy and avoid unnecessary auditing. For example, suppose we are auditing to investigate suspicious database activity. This information by itself is not specific enough. What type of suspicious database activity do we suspect or have we noticed? A more focused auditing purpose might be to audit unauthorized deletion from arbitrary tables in the database. Second, audit knowledgeability. Audit the minimum number of statements, users, or objects required to get the targeted information. This prevents unnecessary audit information from cluttering the meaningful information and consuming valuable space in the system table space. Balance, we need to gather the sufficient security information with the ability to restore and process it. For example, if we are auditing to gather information about database activity and then determine exactly what type of activities we want to track, audit only the activities of interest and audit only for the amount of time necessary to gather the information that we desire. As another example, do not audit objects if we are only interested in logical input-output information. Let's see various auditing categories. Whenever we start or shut down the database, then its entry is written in the audit trail. Also, whenever we do any work with administrative privileges like working as SysDBA, then also auditing is done. Next category is database auditing. This type of auditing is enabled by DBA. It can be session level or user specific. It records all the activities done in the sessions or by the user, but it cannot audit column value. For records of the column value, we do value-based auditing. By this, we can include column values too. It can only be implemented through application codes. DBA enables the auditing and specify options for auditing. After this, whenever user process does any activity, then server process will write entry into operating system audit trail and into database audit trail. These trails are managed by DBA and are viewed by him. He checks these trails frequently for any security concern. Types of auditing. Statement auditing. Auditing of SQL statements with respect to only the type of statement. For example, audit table tracks several detailed statements regardless of the table on which they are issued. You can set statement auditing to audit selected user or every user in the database. Privilege auditing is more focused than statement auditing because it audits only the use of target privileges. We can set privilege auditing to audit a selected user or every user in the database. Schema object auditing is very focused, auditing only a specific statement on a specific schema object. Schema object auditing always apply to all users of the database. Now to enable the auditing, we have to set values for a parameter audit_trail, which is specified in parameter file. This parameter can have 4 values. None, that is nothing will be audited, or DB auditing is disabled. OS, audit records will be written to OS audit trail. DB or true, database auditing is enabled and auditing will be written to data dictionary tables. DB_extended, same as DB but also capture SQL bind variables and SQL text. If we want to audit any privilege, then we can do so by command audit privilege, then privilege name. So whenever that privilege is used, audit entry will be written to audit trail. If we append by session in the command, then only one entry will be generated regardless of the number of use of that privilege. If we want to audit any object, then we have to give the command audit action on object. The whenever successful keyword restrict audit records to those where the operation succeeded. The alternative syntax is whenever not successful. By default, all operations are audited. Second query will audit all DML operations executed against the table. If we just want to audit user session trying to connect with the Oracle server, whether successfully or unsuccessfully, we can enable session auditing. In this auditing, all the connections with the Oracle server will be monitored, including IP addresses, client software and users. This can be particularly useful Recording failures will indicate if attempts are being made to break into the database. DBA can check audit trail and see whether attempt of security breach is done or not. These are some data dictionary views from which we can get information about audited objects, audited trace files, objects and sessions which are getting audited. This is all about auditing. Thank you.